Recently, Vijay, we had, I think, some pretty significant news, some pretty notable news out of the Federal Reserve, the U.S. Fed, and that has led a lot of people to read the Fed's latest comments at the last FOMC meeting as a pivot. And for those in the audience that, maybe some of that terminology is like, it basically means that they're expecting to cut interest rates, which is to, make money easier again. And this is, something, a turning point that I think many investors have been watching and waiting for. And so just your quick thoughts on how did you take that recent news, and what do you think it means for, Bitcoin from a fiscal or monetary lens?
Well, certainly very interesting that the Fed, they had their meeting yesterday, that they've decided to switch gears and not continue with their sort of unprecedented rate hikes. They went from 0 to 5.5% over a very short period of time, which had a dramatic impact on various parts of the economy. I do think it is a little bit of a misnomer to call this a pivot, however, and I'll explain why. What matters isn't the absolute interest rate. It's not whether the interest rate is 3 or 5 or 7. What matters is the real interest rate. Is the interest rate set by the Federal Reserve above or below the inflation rate? If it's below the inflation rate, that means you have negative real interest rates, and it means the Fed is punishing you for holding cash. And so you're encouraged to go out and invest and gamble and consume. When the Fed sets interest rates above the inflation rate, it's the opposite incentive. You're incentivized to keep money in the bank, essentially, because you're getting a real return of 5.5% if you keep your dollars in the bank. And that's greater than the inflation rate. So you have a strong incentive to do that, which sucks money out of other parts of the economy. Now, the Fed has said or indicated in the last meeting that they're done with rate hikes, and they believe they're going to cut rates 3 times in the next year. This doesn't necessarily mean that they're switching to an easy monetary policy. I think the way to read this is they have been quite restrictive in their policy, and they are going to track their rates down as inflation continues to drop, or at least as they see it dropping. So interest rates are not going to be easy until the Fed gets under the inflation rate. And that's going to take something pretty major happening in the economy, something like a deep recession or a major failure in the financial system. And I think that is actually quite possible in the next year. I think it's not quite right yet to call this a pivot. However, I think the pivot will happen when something breaks in the economy and the Fed decides that they need to bring interest rates below the inflation rate to really spur growth and to get out of a recession. And I think that will be a major, major catalyst for Bitcoin.
Hey guys, it's Nico. Swan has a new offer. Bitcoin is generational wealth, and you could secure your bright orange future with the Swan IRA. Real Bitcoin, no taxes. Swan offers both traditional and Roth options to best fit your needs. Create your IRA and start adding Bitcoin in less than 1 minute. Transfers and rollovers are available. Swan's retirement specialists will get you set up with no transfer fees and no minimum balance requirements. This is real Bitcoin, not ETF or other derivative. Get the real thing and get it at Swan. Go to swan.com/retire for more details. Build your legacy your way.